So I'm sitting here in my beer, and I'm wondering what to rant on today. An epiphany came to me. Why not the failed November the 4th rally and the failure that was the protest perpetrated by the left on November 8th? Going out of chronological order, because, well, fuck you, I can do that, let's take a look at the result of adult babies not getting their way, and without mommy and daddy around to put them in timeout and explain to them, very slowly and with small words, because God knows they wouldn't understand it otherwise, that you don't always get what you want. They've evolved to screaming at the sky, of all fucking things. Seriously. The event in Boston was titled Scream Helplessly at the Sky on the anniversary of the election. Like, I can't... This is the reason why comedy has died. Reality is comedy. But the whole screaming at the sky thing, yeah, that'll prove how rational you are and how valid your grievances are. No one is going to make a fucking joke or a sarcastic comment about how this is possibly the dumbest thing ever, myself included. I would never do that. Anyway, now bear in mind, I have no issue with the fact that they are doing this. The fact that they're doing this is hilarious to me, actually. But on top of that, I would in no way take away their right to protest this way. After all, it's nonviolent. Dumb, but nonviolent. However, I do have pieces of advice for those triggered lefties. The only thing that screaming is proving is that you can't take a loss, despite how much of a terrible candidate you had running, and regardless of how out of touch you have gotten with every other American outside of your bubbles, including those bubbles being liberal elites in Hollywood, in the cities, and, well, quite frankly, in any place outside of most of rural America. But alas, the article from Newsweek does have other notes of hilarity, mainly this one, stating that 73 million voted against Trump. Keep in mind, against Trump. However, in reality, and reality is a tough fucking thing to some of these people, only about 65.8 million people, I'm rounding up here obviously, voted for Hillary. Unless they are adding the 7.8 million, once again rounding, that voted in any other political party, which in that case you could argue the fact that almost 8 million people didn't want Trump or Hillary for that matter. The reality is, well, Trump lost the popular election, which, fair enough. He won the electoral votes by a fucking landslide. But let's dissolve the Electoral College and have mob rule, because there's no way that large cities could totally take advantage of rural areas. Yeah, if you actually think that, you're a fucking hockey puck moron. But enough about that. Let's move on to Antifa's November the 4th debacle. Now, there were claims by the likes of Alex Jones that were poised to rival his "they're turning the fucking frogs" gay comments. But let's push those aside and deal with reality here and not fucking tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theories. Now, in Times Square, not only were they late, the jokes about a bunch of communist sympathizers being late to their own fucking meeting is in itself gut-wrenchingly hilarious. But all jobless cur jokes aside, let's also take note that only 300 people of thousands actually showed up. So not only were they late, only a fraction of the people that intended to show up actually did show up. Now, I'm not above calling Antifa a bunch of lazy communist babies, completely devoid of self-awareness and critical fucking thinking, but the fact that they were handing out leaflets about Revolutionary Communist Party has me begging the question. Did this group even learn about communist Russia or the USSR? At all, for that matter. Here, yeah, you dumb fucks, communism is in the same realm of Nazism. Get the fuck over it. And by the way, this took me 5 seconds on Google to find, so at this point, if you're not aware of this, it's willful ignorance. Denying communism's sin at this point is tantamount to denying the sins of Nazis. So yeah, good on you, Antifa, you daft fucking cunts. But anyway, refusefascism.org, Antifa's pecker track online, as it were, cataloging their attempts to, quote, refuse fascism, end quote, without the wherewithal to understand that most average people can't stand the mere amoebic existence of them. But needless to say, there's cringy shit coming from there, such as stating that they wish to have semi-permanent encampments for protests. So, a piece of advice, Antifa, outside of getting a fucking job, if you really want to sway others to your side, instead of acting like a child that just lost at a fucking video game, try forming coherent arguments. Ones outside of your college campuses and your ultra-left gilded fuck bubbles. And, by the way, if your argument is boiled down to there's some form of ist, your argument is not valid. Those of us that are at least somewhat intellectual, I'm not going to claim to be a fucking pundit for that matter, but those of us that claim to have somewhat of a brain between their ears would tell you that if you have to devoid to name-calling in an argument, you are probably wrong. And I do realize that I do name-calling a lot in these rants. I am not devoid of self-awareness, but once again, it is a rant. If I was trying to sway somebody's opinion, I wouldn't be using fuck, dumb fuck, cunt, or any other of the expletives that I used before. But, all in all, the main point I'm trying to make is, yes, I do have a point outside of this simply ranting, is that while the leftists screech into the void, the rest of the world, some of which are, dare I say it, leftists, are getting so sick and tired of your overreacting to something that happens every 4 years. And newsflash, an election in a representative democracy. Who would have fucking thought it? But anyway, people are getting disgusted by your actions, Antifa, that only prove that not only are your opinions and beliefs based solely on your feelings, when it all boils down to it, it's based solely on feelings. They're also deeply rooted in the arrogant belief that your side, Antifa, anarcho-communists, a fucking joke in of itself, but that's a story for another time, and ultra-liberals believe themselves and their politicians to be devoid of sin and to be infallible, simply because they slap a letter in front of their names. Now, right-wingers do this too. But the thing is, Antifa and their ilk seem to think that anyone besides a Democrat, regardless of how obviously corrupt the candidate may be, Hillary, is inevitably and without a doubt wrong. And to think otherwise makes you some science-denying, Nazi scum, racist, sexist, Islamophobe. Just because they disagree. Seriously. So, in closing, self-awareness, while in short supply as these days, is desperately needed in today's world. Common sense, dangling by a rope in the fucking corner with a chair toppled over, needs to be resurrected. Right is subjective. Morals are subjective. Politics are subjective. And that's about it. When it all boils down to it, at the end of the day, people's idea of what is morally apprehensible and what is morally allowed does change. And it does differ from person to person. In some regards, even amongst people of political parties. But I'm not one to pretend like this is something that should be viewed as outside of common knowledge, because any person that has any wherewithal whatsoever knows full well that people within their own political party disagree with them. Hell, of all the YouTubers I follow, I can't say that I agree with any single one of them on everything. I disagree with every single one of them about at least one fucking thing. But that'll just about do it for this video. I feel like I have ranted and rambled enough, and your ears are probably bleeding at this point, so I'll end this diatribe. Where's the diatribe? I forget. Either way, I might be a little drunk. Anyway, that will just about do it for this video, and I will see you, glorious cunts, on Tuesday with a response video. Hopefully it'll be a little more of a response video and a little less of the half-assed job I did last time. But with that, I will see you guys next week, and have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, and or night. I'll see you later.